Okay, so for the recording, this is the Platonic Academy of Melbourne in 2023, and it's the 15th of March, and we're doing our webinar, going through a bit the exciting adventure we're going to have in Greece in October this year, to entice people along, get them interested. This study tour is called Myths, Morals, and Mysticism, a journey into Platonism. So welcome everyone here today, and welcome to those folks who are watching this on recording. So what I'm going to do now is hand over to our travel agent, who is also a member of the Platonic Academy and been involved since very early on. So that's Jackie. So I'll hand over to Jackie now to explain this wonderful adventure we've got in store.
Thanks so much, Bernie. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I've just got a brief presentation that I will start sharing with you. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. If anybody has any questions, whether it's in relation to the tour itself or whether it's in relation to, the logistics of the tour, the accommodation or anything like that, you're welcome to just, actually maybe leave all the questions right up until the end. If you have anything that's specific, let me know. And if you feel I've missed anything, just let me know. All right, I'm going to start sharing the screen in just a moment so we can, here we go. Just let me know if everybody can. I think it's loading. It should
Yep.
Sharing now. Yeah.
Yep, you're on.
All right, lovely. So the tour is due to take place, as many of you already know, between the 2nd and the 12th of October. We chose October for a few reasons. First of all, it's low season, so the pricing is quite good. It's at the beginning of October, so we're still going to catch that Mediterranean sunshine, but we're also going to have most of the sites will be reasonably empty of mass tourism. So we will have them pretty much to ourselves, which will make for some really amazing conversations and experiences amongst those ancient sites. During this presentation, I'm just going to take you through the journey as we will go on day by day, talk to you briefly about the places that we're going to visit. And throughout it, I'm also going to be throwing back to Bernie so that he can talk to you about the talks and the discussions that he is planning to have while we're over there. So, go. It's not moving, is it? Oh,
someone just popped up.
Did it move? It hasn't changed.
Yeah, someone popped up and has now gone. Do you have a video clip? Is that what you were doing?
No. What can you see there? I can only see my front screen there.
I saw someone pop up with headphones in.
Yeah, now you're on. Now we're on the second slide.
Yay, got it. Thank you. So just a little background on the study. Back in 2019, I had made a suggestion to Bernie and also to a couple of the other students at the Platonic Academy of Melbourne to suggest that maybe we want to take Pam across to Greece and study Plato's wisdom, or teachings rather, in situ amongst the ancient sites. So this study tour has really been carefully crafted over the course of several months. So we first started doing it with David Valkennet, and then along with Maria Atlas White, of course, and under the direction of Bernie as well. And the purpose of the study tour is really to travel to Greece, which is, as we know, the home of so many philosophers, including Plato, not just to learn about the historical culture, but also the contemporary culture of Greece, and consider how the ancient philosophers may have influenced our thinking, not only the Greek thought process, but also how they've influenced the world. Starting in Athens, of course, we'll be taking in the magnificent Acropolis of Athens. Our guide here is going to be a lady by the name of Elena Suliotti. Elena is actually an expert in etymology. She has run tours for me for La Trobe University, so she's very well versed in the kind of study tours that we want to promote here through PAM. We will also be visiting the Academy of Plato, the Lyceum of Aristotle, the Altar of the 12 Gods, and there is, of course, the newly established, well, it's reasonably new, Museum of Plato, which we can also attend. This actually has an interactive reconstruction of the Academy as well as the classical agora. I'm now going to throw over to Bernie to talk a little bit about his talk that he will be doing in Athens, and that will be entitled The Esoteric Plato and the Historical Socrates. Okay, so we're going to be there at the site of the Academy. And I mean, I wonder about this. This is a bit like idolatry or something, you know, going and seeing all these sacred sites and so on. But if we have the right attitude, I think it's just going to be wonderful. And we're going to feel a lot of energy when we're there, especially at Plato's Academy, where it stood for 300 years. And we can reflect on what Plato taught at this time. Geometry, of course, as we emphasize in our school, and the geometric research and mathematical research in general that shaped modern science. The mathematical approach to the physical sciences really began here. Europe has so much to thank for what went on in this academy. So we're going to be there reflecting on what Plato taught, the esoteric teachings that we only find out from other writers much later, even from Aristotle, the monad, the dyad. What was it all about? What was going on in that amazing place? Thanks, Bernie. You happy for me to move forward? Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so still in Athens, the study tour is also intended to consider the contemporary experience of ordinary Greeks and also ordinary Athenians. We will be taking a walk around the neighborhoods of Athens. We all know that every country's history has, you know, a mixture of tragedy as well as being quite spectacular. And the background and much of the symbolism of pain, hope, and triumph of the modern Athenians is actually shown through a lot of their street art. This tour will be guided by a professional street artist. The image that you're seeing here now is by an artist called Vasili Gubaris. It's actually in the town in the locality of Siri. It's a dog. This particular dog was with a lot of the people when they were protesting against the austerity measures which Greece recently went through. They nicknamed him Lukaniko, which means sausage. And there are so many YouTube videos and videos of this particular dog who's kind of fighting amongst and with the people against authoritarianism. You can see some Greek writing down at the bottom right-hand corner, which basically says "the krigonia mazita fagame," which basically means "I copped the rubber bullets along with you." So it's quite poignant, and there is so much of this kind of street art. Just to give you an indication, there's a little bit more. Some of it is a lot more classical, and then some of it is quite, you know, is a little bit more politically motivated. You'll then head upwards, further north rather, into Meora. We'll make our way to the town of Kalambaka. Now, The clifftop monasteries at Mycenae, there are 26 monasteries in total, 6 of them still operating, and you will have the opportunity to enter into some of these clifftop monasteries. Mycenae was granted UNESCO World Heritage status back in 1988. And the reason that they were built so high on precipices of these cliff faces, of these mountaintops, is, well, one of the reasons is that the monks really wanted to be as close as possible to the heavens. As I said, you will have the opportunity to enter into some of these monasteries. And Bernie will be talking to us a little bit about the concepts of Platonism and Christianity. And once again, I'm just going to throw over to Bernie, who will be talking about Hermeticism and Platonism.
Closer to the heavens, Jackie,
Yeah.
but also away from society, away from the sensual world and desires and everything that we were talking about before this session began.
Mm-hmm.
So monasticism and related earlier to Hermeticism. Have you heard of the Desert Fathers? Where did this whole movement begin? This movement for going away on your own into the desert, and then in communities to get away from society, to get away from the desires, pleasures, and angst of everyday life. This rejection of the desires and senses for a quiet, silent life. To what extent did this movement, was it influenced by Plato and Platonism? That's what I'll be talking about up there.
Okay, and moving further north still, we're going to travel to one of the key sites. When we talk about mythology in the Platonic tradition, we can't go past the site at Delphi. The ancient Greeks believed that Delphi was the navel of the world, what we call the omphalos. And you'll actually be seeing there is actually a key piece of ancient history there, where they actually pinpoint the navel of the world. So as many of us know, there was an oracle here at Delphi, and she would be consulted on matters of state, matters of philosophy, and of course matters of the gods. She would be asked questions and she would then respond in riddles. I've been to Delphi a few times, and I have to tell you, there is really something quite amazing. There is something really mystical about the site at Delphi. I think probably also the fact that it is surrounded by mountains. There's something really light about it. That's just my experience. But I know that Delphi is still revered today as a sacred site by a lot of modern Greeks, not just the ancient Greeks. So it's quite fiercely protected. Once again, I'm going to throw over to Bernie, where he's going to be talking at the ancient site about prophecy and enthusiasms.
So Delphi, the most famous site of the most famous prophet at the Temple of Apollo. Prophecy, divination, bring the truth down from the gods. What shall we do? What does the future hold? Answered in riddles. How does this relate to Plato? Well, he sometimes talks about it, doesn't he? Like in the Apology. And he quotes Know Thyself, which was supposed to have been written on the walls in stone. Know thyself. But also for Plato, all knowledge is of divine origin. Wisdom is divination, and enthusiasm being filled with God. He likened wisdom to a madness, like the trance state of the prophet or the oracle, a form of madness, divine madness, like the madness of love. It looks like ordinary madness, and it's hard to tell the difference. Plato's method was a dangerous method and often told in riddles.
Oh. Okay, we're then going to head to ancient Olympia. As we all know, Olympia is the site of the ancient as well as the modern Olympic Games. The image that you're seeing here is the image of the tunnel through which the athletes would all move through before they started to compete on the grounds. Incidentally, it's also the same tunnel through which the Olympic flame is lit and then carried and lit throughout the world still today. It's also the location where they had found, although I don't think it's there at the moment, the location of the largest and the most significant statue of one of the most important Greek gods, the god Zeus. We're then heading into Sparta.
Oh, Jackie, did you want me to talk about talk about my talk there?
Oh, I thought we were doing your talk here at Sparta, but yes.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So Sparta, we're then traveling to Sparta. That's in the southern Peloponnese, and we all know that Sparta features quite regularly in a lot of Plato's work. You certainly don't need to be a history buff to know the fierceness of the warrior mind in Sparta. They were amongst the fiercest warriors. It was unique in ancient Greece for its social system as well as its constitution. And here I'm going to throw over to Bernie. Bernie will be speaking here at Sparta about Greek masculine warrior culture transmitted through Plato.
Well, Sparta, of course, Sparta fought Athens and allies in those Peloponnesian War. The Peloponnesian Wars were like 30 years running into Plato's youth. And it had a big influence on him quite clearly in many ways. And one way was in the Republic. Many people see that the Republic and the way the guardians are garrisoned and some of the rules in for the guardians of the society really seem to be modeled on Spartan society. So with Sparta, you get this military culture. And then at Olympia, of course, you see how the overall Greek culture was very much a celebration of masculine physical power. It was a warrior culture because they were fighting so much all the time. And of course, as we know, you had slaves at the bottom. You had women out of sight, uneducated and not in public life. But then you had these aristocratic men, these literate aristocratic men. That's what we know about. They had lots of time on their hands and lots of time to go to the gym and pump iron naked. It was really a celebration of the masculine. And we see this so much in Plato. It's one of the things that really hits us. And so I suppose it's, we need to emphasize this because it helps us understand the context of Plato. And we could think of it like Japanese samurai culture. So it'd be really good to go to these two sites and to think about the culture, the masculine culture, in which is the context for Plato's higher teachings.
Thanks, Bernie. From here, we're going to start making our way back to Athens via the ancient site of Mycenae, where you will also visit the Lion's Gate, the treasury of Atreus and the walls of Tyrants. Their significance lies in the outstanding architecture, but there is also a significance that relates to the civilization which inhabited Mycenae and Tyrants at the time. We're going to visit the fortified town at Mystras. Mystras served as the capital of the Byzantine Despotate of Morea between the 14th and the 15th centuries. And it was continuously inhabited throughout the Ottoman era until the establishment of the town that we now know as Sparta, not to be confused with Sparta, which we just mentioned. and then traveling via the Corinth Canal. You'll also have the opportunity to hear, bear with me one minute. Oh no, now I'm going to head to Corinth. Excuse me.
Oh, before you do, Jackie, do you want me to talk about Mystras?
Yeah, you certainly can if you want.
Yeah, okay.
That's not Paul the Evangelist, or is that's at Corinth?
No, this is
Please.
Mystras Platon. It's such an interesting place and such an interesting history, because there it is in the hills near Sparta is this town, this fortified town, and as the Byzantine, the Eastern European Empire was collapsing and crumbling, and in some cases fragmenting, there was a revival of Platonism in this town. And it was during this time that embassies went to Italy to plead for unification, plead for military assistance against the Turks, against the Ottomans, sorry. And with them went this most extraordinary figure, Gemistos Platon. The embassy failed in its aims, and of course the Eastern Empire collapsed. But Gemistos Platon and a few other people, but particularly him, were critical in the revival of Greek learning in the West, the revival of Platonism, and the revival of the mathematical sciences in the Renaissance. So this is a marvelous transmission of knowledge from the Greeks via this figure, Gemistos Platon, who lived in Mystras.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Bernie. We'll then head through ancient Corinth, which is the stretch of land that actually joins the Peloponnese to the Greek mainland. It's also where I'm going to call him the Apostle Paul, but I'll get into trouble for that. The Apostle Paul gave many of his Christian teachings, and it was also here in Corinth where he established Christianity very, very strongly when he visited Corinth during his second missionary journey. In terms of Plato's texts, for those who have studied Gorgias, it's in Corinth that Plato deals with the concept of rhetoric, and he also explores the ethical aspects of rhetoric. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, Bernie, because you're the teacher. I'm also now again going to throw over to Bernie, where Bernie is going to start talking to us here about the Paul the Evangelist and Christian Platonism.
Paul's letter to the Corinthians, one of the most powerful and earliest surviving texts of Christianity, earlier than the Gospels. Paul's letter to the Corinthians was a letter to Greeks. It was a letter to early Greek Christians, and it was a letter talking about the relationship between Greek culture and the Christian teaching. Paul evangelized to the Hellenes, the Hellenistic Jews, and the pagan Greeks. We consider just how much sympathy there is between the Pauline Christianity and the philosophy that pervaded Greek culture in Corinth and in Athens and all around Greece, where Paul was traveling, evangelizing not to traditional Jews, but outwardly towards the Greeks. And in the same way, in the same sense that he was doing this, he was also clearly absorbing into Christianity Greek philosophy. So we'll talk about that in Corinth.
Okay, finally, just the logistics of the tour itself. The cost is $4,815 per person. That's on a twin share basis. So twin share simply means that there's going to be 2 people to a room. The accommodation is generally in 3.5 to 4-star, mostly 4-star hotels throughout, we have chosen smaller hotels that are closer to sites, but also they generally tend to be a little bit more family run, local flavor. We have breakfast daily included. We also have 2 dinners and 2 lunches included. The dinners are both in Athens, and they're both at some really lovely restaurants. So the first one is going to be a welcome dinner, and then the last one is just going to be a farewell dinner. The cost of the tour does not include airfares, so you do have to make your way there, and we will meet on the 2nd if you wanted to. Of course, you can get there earlier or stay longer, and that was the reason we didn't add airfares. Initially, the deposit due date was in March, but we have decided to extend that now until the 20th of April to just give people a little bit more time to get through the Christmas New Year craze. And so if anybody does want to book, the 20th of April is definitely the deadline. Balance will be due around August. The deposit due is only $550. All in all, this really is going to be an outstanding study tour. There has been a great deal of thought put into it by Maria, Bernie, myself, and also David. So I have to acknowledge David as well, because he was the one that started with me at the very beginning on this. We've all been really working very, very hard to bring it to fruition. So we're really excited about it. If anybody has any questions, and you're welcome to ask me any questions now, but of course, if you come up with any questions, even after the webinar, please feel free to email me or give me a buzz. And you can always just jump on touchdowntours.com.au or even the Platonic Academy of Melbourne's website, and they will give you our contact details.
Thank you, Jackie. Do you want to take down your screen share now?
And yeah, I better do that.
Yeah, and we'll throw to questions. So thank you so much, and really all your work. This is one of those things that COVID hit. I remember we were organizing it. David was organizing it. Well, it must be 3 years ago now, and we finally
screen sharing. I'll stop share. Sorry, guys, I'm with you.
I know. So yeah, David and you started off doing this research, and so it's kind of been off and on, and now it's finally on. So I really want to thank you, Jackie, for your persistence and for your thorough work in getting this together, because I think it is a really exciting tour. I'm whipped up about it. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to hold back the tears when I actually stand on the Academy side. I'll do my best, but it's just going to be marvelous, and going right through the Christian Platonism we'll be seeing, the beginning of the Renaissance in Greece. It's just really exciting. So standing in those places, looking around the ruins is just going to be great. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions for Jackie, open the floor, fire away.
That's done. They're all booking. No questions. They're all booking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So does everyone understand what's involved in the price? Looking around, it seems amazingly cheap. But the quality of the hotels are really good, I think. You do have to get yourself to Athens, of course. So that's probably something you want to think about, those flights fairly soon as well, around the time that you put down the deposit.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I've got a question. Jackie?
Yes.
If it's not twin share, what's the cost?
Oh, if you have a look on our website, I can't remember. I think it's about $700 odd.
In addition.
It's only in addition to the twin share price.
687.
Thank you, Maria. 687.
So relatively not very much relative to the total price. Yeah.
Bernie, I have a question.
Yes.
How do we travel from site to site?
So that's going to be on and
Thank
that's
you.
obviously all included. My pleasure.
So
basically, all of your transportation is included whilst we're on the ground in Greece. Entry into all sites and museums that are mentioned is included. As we said, breakfast daily and a few of the meals. There are also a few lunches, I think. If you look at the website, it will tell you exactly what meals are included. But effectively, once you're there, really all you're going to require is your spending money, because everything is included apart from your evening meals where, first and last days in Athens.
We shout those meals to the group.
You might shout us a beer.
Sounds interesting.
okay, has anyone got any more questions for Jackie? I guess, Jackie, you've laid it all out really well, and there is the website, so it's not surprising. I think we've got the picture now. So yeah, okay. Well, if there's no more questions, then maybe we could close the meeting. Is there anything you wanted to say finally, Jackie, to close the meeting? I suppose we want to emphasize that deposit date. We want a firm commitment by the 20th of April.
Yeah, we definitely need a firm
that
commitment by the 20th of April. And it has been extended, and it's really important that we do that, because we also need to then start depositing, for your accommodation in Greece and for, any other services that we have in Greece. And the other question that I get a lot is, what if I need to cancel? So I'm just going to address that now. There are cancellation penalties, not penalties as such, but really just, cancellation fees, I guess, because people will have done work on the reservation, but also some of the suppliers will not refund necessarily. We have a whole list of cancellation dates of when you can cancel, and really clear instructions depending on the date of the cancellation. I do really strongly suggest that the moment you book travel insurance, though, we can help you with that if you want. We can send you a quote. Otherwise, you can make your own arrangements for that as well.
Thanks, Jackie. Good to outline that. If I'm still on, I've lost everyone, I think.
So let's say, Jackie, you've paid for the deposit, and then for whatever reason you can't go. I suppose you forfeit most of the deposit. Is how it works?
Yes, you would forfeit the deposit. Travel insurance, you will need to then obviously provide proof to the insurance company, and they would then refund you that.
Yeah, if it's on the grounds of something under the insurance, that's travel insurance.
That's right. Yeah. Provided it's under the provisions of the policy.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else before we finish up?
Yes,
okay.
I'm so envious.
You can't come. Yeah.
I can't come. Yes.
Grandkids, twins on the way.
Yes.
Grandmother responsibilities come first. All right. Well, look, thanks everyone for coming along, and do spread the word with your friends and whoever. We can all travel together and have a great time, I hope. So thanks for coming along tonight. Stay in touch with us. If you've got any further questions, Jackie will be able to answer them. She's well experienced in the field, fielding questions about this stuff, especially, with the insurance issues and payment issues and all that. Come to Jackie, and she'll be able to give you an answer. So thanks everyone, and we'll see you around the traps. Okay.
See you on Saturday.